Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cocktails and Convos. My name is Chris. My pronouns are he and him.
My name is Shane, and my pronouns are he and they.
Oh, our drink of the day. I'm out of my drink of the day because this is filming part 2 of our coming out. The drink of the day, again, is the spiked hot chocolate. We didn't bother to show it again because why?
Yeah.
But again, if you're drinking at home with us, make sure that you are drinking responsibly, my friends. Chris
is very, very excited. It's a little bit jarring.
I don't know why I'm so excited right now. I was trying to just be happy.
I mean,
it's hard. It's really hard, guys. It's really hard to be happy.
Chris is like, let's maybe you introduce it. I'm like, how do I do it? He's like, just be excited. I'm like, have you seen my excited face?
Have you seen my emotion whenever I talk?
So my excited face, Chris, let's do my excited face at the same time.
So the topic again today is coming out part 2. The last episode, if you happen to catch it, check it out if you haven't, we talked about our personal experiences in coming out. And so today we're going to focus more on the general idea
of coming out.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about just general coming out and maybe the safety concerns behind it,
for sure.
Why you would come out, why you wouldn't come out.
Should we have to come out, stuff like that.
The word or the phrase coming out.
Just the whole idea.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
The whole shebang.
And so, just to start things off a little bit, there are a lot of, depending on where you live, of course, depending on your level of privilege, who you are, where you come
your
from,
family,
your background.
Your religion.
There's so many things
like
that have to do with this next part is, the safety concerns of coming out and how they can affect you.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, it may also depend on what you're coming out as. Like,
100%.
In recent times, maybe coming out as gay is, depending on your situation, it can still be very, very hard and very scary.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to at all...
you don't want to downplay that.
That or anything. But on the same hand, coming out as trans might be something that is less acceptable.
Yeah, agreed.
It's not as accepted.
There's not as much education about it.
There's not as much education. Like,
and that's
when I came out, when I started bringing girls home, my family was like, yeah, whatever, fuck it. When I came out as trans, my family was like, what?
Hold on, excuse me?
They were like, what? My dad was like, no. My mom was like, are you safe?
Are you safe? Friends in the world, friends out there, are you safe? You know who I'm talking to.
But
so I mean, there could be any number of things that could happen to you coming out. Coming out at a young age can be dangerous because your peers can be aggressive and kids are assholes, and
it could threaten your home life, your home family life, security.
Absolutely, and coming out can. There's just so many. Your parents, if they're not accepting your home life, could be bad. There are so many examples of queer kids and queer people being homeless and kicked out of their homes because they just wanted to be who they are. And depending on your area, depending on where you are, your education maybe isn't there. You might be ignorant about XYZ factor of the whole thing, and it can be dangerous.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I want to start talking about is there's a lot of people realize that for LGBT youth, it's dangerous to come out. But a lot of people don't talk about the fact that it can still be dangerous for LGBT adults to come out.
Absolutely.
You can lose your job.
There are many states where that protection doesn't exist.
It's actually
there. In North Dakota,
and in other parts of the country.
Well, it's like North Dakota just tried to pass to include that in the state's safety, non-discrimination laws, and they shot it down. It's pretty rough, right?
That's awful.
And it sucks that exists.
That's unfortunate.
It affects your housing, your hospital rights. It affects your job. It affects everything. Your security, your quality of life. It can affect.
Yeah, we've looked at possibly, eventually in the future leaving California, and I'm like, there's so many places we can't go.
Just can't go.
I don't have rights there. But coming out as an adult can be really scary. And even where you are protected, it's really easy for jobs to say that they're letting you go for another reason.
Oh yeah, they don't have to. They could make something up.
It's really easy to say that, oh, we're just your performance isn't good or you showed up late or whatever.
Make some excuse about it.
It's really hard to prove discrimination in a lot of cases, and it's really unfortunate. And the thing is, like, let's say you're looking for an apartment, they can deny you for anything and you don't know why. You may have this suspicion. And I know that a lot of people have experienced this based on their race and things like that, but it's something that happens once you come out in the LGBT community. So I understand why people may not want to come out, or at least
for sure
are very, very selective about who they're out to.
Yeah, I
had celebrities are still not coming out.
Right, it could be career ending for them. Not so much anymore, but for gays specifically. But
well, I mean, you get that problem of being typecast.
Oh yeah, that totally happens. That's real.
So it may not end your career, but it'll change your career.
It'll limit. It potentially could limit the scope of roles that you are able to play, or people consider you for.
Yeah, I mean, and it's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's still one of those things that happens. And, some people are really lucky and that doesn't happen to them and they keep their jobs and they're
it's all hunky-dory. Yeah, it's great.
But there's tons of people, and even in places like LA that are super liberal and accepting, that still
you can be totally screwed.
End up homeless and without a job.
There's been times where, remember when we were first dating and we held hands out in front of our apartment and some asshole honked at us and I turned into...
Yeah.
I got so defensive so quickly because I was so ready, to be like, what the fuck, man? And be really aggressive because, I don't... And to me, I tend to normalize things in my head very quickly, even though maybe the rest of the world isn't there yet. And so...
I mean,
and that's, for good reason. My parents were afraid when I came out because I'm so ballsy with that stuff. I just do it. I don't even think about it.
Well, and it's like, right before we met, I think it was, I was in the ER because I was at work and I was walking just outside of work and I got punched in the face and got called some awful slurs and ended up with a concussion.
I remember that. I remember you telling me about that.
It's like even in these really accepting parts, it's scary to be visibly LGBT.
Yeah.
So if you're not in LA or San Francisco or somewhere that's super accepting, I understand why you'd be afraid to come out.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to... There's that fine line of... when do you cross the line out of your own safety and how do you do that and where do you go? Because for some people, people just say, just leave where you're at. You can't always just do that.
If you don't have the money or
you could just be stuck and that's so miserable. And I can't even imagine. And I'm so sorry for those of you who maybe are watching who
are in that situation.
I'm so sorry that you have to go through that and live your life that way.
Really, I'm not trying to speak on your behalf.
For sure.
I think what you may have been alluding to is that you're just very grateful that you have the privilege to get out of a shitty,
I was so
small town.
I was so fortunate in my life for that, in that regard, especially,
And you just hope that everyone else gets that experience.
Agreed. Absolutely. Because everyone deserves to live their best life and be who they want to be.
Yeah.
Everybody, no matter who you are, deserves that.
Exactly.
One of the things that I find really interesting, and me, we've talked plenty of times about this on the idea of should you even have to come out? The idea of itself of coming out of the closet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and if you watched the last video, you know that sexuality wise, I didn't come out. I was just like, hey, here's the people I'm dating.
Here's XYZ person.
Like before I had transitioned, I was like, here's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I never came out. I was just like, I didn't do the, oh, hi, here, I'm gay. I kind of just let my life speak for itself. I let my actions speak for themselves. I was like, deal with it.
Deal with it, motherfucker.
And I think that's great if you feel like you're safe enough to do it. And
absolutely.
I don't think that
not everybody
should have to come out. I think if you want to come out, that's totally valid and that's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, like, I come out to some people sometimes because I like being visibly queer. I
I do too. I'm okay with it.
I don't like being seen as straight. No shade at straight people.
No shade at the breeders out there, but
I feel like I've been through so much because of my queer identity that I don't want it erased.
Right. Exactly. You know, it's part of the foundation of who you are at some points. And, you know, I had to talk about this recently about why queer people tend to be, hello, you know, we're really queer and we want to be proud about it and we want to be who we are and show it and talk about it and express it, is because a lot of us, and, you know, you and I were fortunate that we got to be out as young as we were.
Yeah.
Some people don't get that experience. Some people don't come out till their 30s or 40s or 50s or later in life. And when you lived your life in a certain way and you're so repressed in that regard, when you come out, that becomes a huge front and center point of your identity. And also there's no shade on people who just, you know, firmly believe that I'm queer and that's just I'm me and I just happen to be queer, you know, who don't necessarily want to showcase that identity, because, you know, everybody's opinion on that is valid. Everyone has their own journey and experience with it.
And everyone's an individual and everyone's personality is different. Like, I think most of us, or a lot of us, go through the peacocking phase where we're like, hi, I'm queer, because we had to hide it for so long.
Should we define what peacocking is really quick?
All right.
For all you out there. For those of you who don't know, peacocking essentially means, think about a peacock and its tail. Huge, it's like this giant fan of a beautiful spectacle.
Yeah,
it's showy.
It's showy. It's these big, gorgeous, beautiful, bright, vibrant feathers. So when a peacock shows its feathers, it's like, bam.
In your face.
In your face.
And so, stereotypically, a lot of queer people, once they come out, tend to be very flashy for a minute. I went from jock to super queer, and then now I'm just a big lumberjack.
I mean, we just went through a lot of his old clothes, and I swear there were at least 8 T-shirts that had a LGBT pride flag on them.
That's real.
And I probably had quite a few when I was younger too.
Oh yeah,
and I mean,
sure.
We just found like my LGBT pride flag and my trans pride flag in my boxes too. So
yeah. And so, yeah, the peacocking just basically means you really show your queerness off once you come out.
So, yeah, it's just peacocking is, hi, I'm here.
Hey. So, you know, on the topic of peacocking and things, you know, we should jump back onto, like, should we have to come out and the idea of coming out? I really like what you said, that if you want to have that experience, you deserve it, and that's a valid thing to desire and to want. But I wish we lived in a world, and I talk about this a lot if you guys have seen my streams and all that crap like that. I really firmly believe we should live in a world where you don't necessarily have to come out and you can just one day bring home whoever you want.
Yeah.
You know, bring home a person rather than has to be, you know, your girlfriend if you're a guy, your boyfriend if you're a girl, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that we, as a people and as a society, are getting towards that point a little bit more.
I mean, we definitely are, and it depends on your family structure, but, like, I was able to do that. I'm really lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, I also was really ballsy.
Very ballsy.
And just didn't care.
Yeah, for sure.
I was angry and angsty, so I was like, deal with it.
Unreal, though. What I was saying was, so, okay, you know, Shane, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think coming out as non-heterosexual in the way that should we have to come out is much easier than, for example, you know, one day just being. Does that make sense what I'm saying? I guess it's hard to explain without sounding stupid and ignorant. I guess like you could just one day decide to clothing is a good thing you could display.
No.
You know,
I actually think that if you are transitioning, there needs to be some sort of a coming out.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a big traditional coming out where it's like
it's a whole emotional mess.
I don't think it needs to be that.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be like, hey, these are my pronouns now.
Exactly.
And this is my name.
This is exactly what I wanted to hear. Perfect. Okay. Yeah.
So I think, like you were saying, like clothing, that's not a good indicator because everyone dresses different. Like
clothes have no gender. That's real. Yeah.
Clothes have no gender. So should it be like
my age was showing there a little bit. Oh, you can just fucking wear different clothes.
So it shouldn't have to be a whole I'm crying to my mom for
2 days.
2 days about how she doesn't need to buy me diamond earrings and
I didn't mean to laugh at that.
I'm a boy. Yeah. No, it's fine. And it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It would be nice if it could just be, hey, this is how I identify now. These are my pronouns, and this is my name.
And everyone could just be, cool.
And everyone was like, all right, cool.
I'm into it. And I think...
if everyone could have just been, all right, cool, Shane. As soon as I told them, that's the ideal
the dream.
thing.
That's the thing. Exactly.
Dream.
As we look into... Geez, there's so many layers to sexuality and gender and everything. Because, at its core, gender specifically is a construct that has evolved over the last
gender is
10,000 years
construct
and the definitions of masculinity and femininity, especially the ones we have today, are very modern ideas of what they're supposed to be. And so much gender is societally constructed and cultural and regional, and there's a whole lot of things to that. And so coming out and having to come out sucks because you're almost forcing yourself in a box sometimes. And so coming out, say at a young age, you have to come out as gay, when in reality, or, my example is coming out as bisexual and then weirdly putting my own self in just the gay box, categories are problematic and not problematic at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, and I get you. And that's why right now I just identify as queer, because I don't want to put myself in that box.
You don't got to put any fucking boxes. You don't have to put any restrictions. You can just be you.
I'm just
Great.
queer.
I love that. I love to see it.
And
that's exactly, I wish we could just be and exist that way. That's why I love, there's so many, I'm plugging video games for a second. There's so many good video games, Stardew Valley being a great one, where you can just date whoever you want. You can create your character as your sex is male or female, but you can have hair or facial hair based on the other of a gender that you choose. You can date whoever you want. Mass Effect has a universe where there's a character that literally says people matter, not your gender or your race. It's crazy, so I wish we lived in a world where that's just what it was. You can just be who you are.
I mean, here's the real thing. I think that's all great.
Right, it's a big fantasy, literally.
We will hopefully get there one day.
Yeah.
But I want to acknowledge, because we've talked a lot about how it would be great if we could all just be who we are and not have to use labels.
Yeah.
But I want to acknowledge that some people really, really like labels.
Absolutely, and I should have said that there's nothing invalid about wanting that and desiring that.
If that makes you feel good,
absolutely,
then use labels.
Please
don't feel bad about it.
Love your labels. Own who you are.
Yes,
I agree, and I didn't mean to diminish those.
No, and I know that, and I just want to make sure that we acknowledge that.
I love that you did that. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, labels are completely fine as long as you use them in a way that you feel comfortable with for yourself. As 100%. Long as a label is not being forced on you and you're not forcing it on anyone, they're great.
110%, I agree.
I just don't like them for myself.
Understood. Something that I kind of want to get into today too is, I think it's really important to talk about, we're on this whole coming out train, what it is, what's good and bad about it, exploring our identity as people and how maybe we can approach that.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something we sort of talked on the last episode, is how each of us sort of explored aspects of our identity. And there's something that I've been thinking about this whole time we've been talking, is you can explore who you are and try and experiment things, and it doesn't change the core foundation of who you are. For example, if you're a straight person and maybe you're questioning something at some point, and maybe you experiment, it doesn't invalidate your chosen identity as heterosexuality, if that's how you want to go.
Yeah.
Or if you're gay and you or a queer man and you decide to maybe hang out with the ladies for a little bit, it doesn't, you can experiment without it, oh, I was with a guy, it makes me gay now, stuff like that. It doesn't invalidate your experience or who you are. Exploration is very healthy.
Well, Yeah, and I think that goes along with, we're all constantly changing and evolving as people.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of like saying, And I love this. I love this so much. It's saying that I see it a lot as when someone says that they wouldn't date a trans woman because they used to be a man, which is totally wrong and invalid. But
so many issues with that statement.
Very problematic. But when people say that, my favorite response is saying, so you wouldn't date a cis woman because she used to be a baby? We're all constantly growing and evolving.
Yeah.
You know, like the real thing is that does that make you a pedophile then? If dating a trans woman makes you gay because she used to be a man, she's not a man.
Yeah.
You know, she's a woman.
Yeah.
You know, your girlfriend, a cis woman, whatever, used to be a baby. That doesn't make you a pedophile because she is not a baby anymore.
I've never heard that analogy before. It was actually making me think. That's really interesting. I'm into that analogy.
And I mean, some people may have arguments against that, but
totally.
But the point is that as people, we all grow and we all evolve and we all change. And just because you used to be one thing doesn't mean you are anymore.
Right. It doesn't.
And that works for this. Just because, you know, you used to do this or you used to be one way doesn't mean that you have to be that way now. I used to be very toxically masculine. That doesn't mean that I am now.
Yeah, it's not who you are anymore.
So we can all grow and we can all evolve. And just because you did something or you were one way, just because you had an experience doesn't mean that that's who you have to be.
Yeah.
So if you want to explore.
You could question your sexuality, try something, go, I didn't like that.
That's the whole joke of me being every part of the
try it out. Didn't like it.
Plus community at one point in my life is I've tried it all.
Yeah, it's real.
I mean, I've been there, and that doesn't make my identity now any less valid.
No, not at all. And it's healthy. Like I was saying before, it's very healthy to. You don't want to become this dogmatic person where you have this is my view, never going to change. It's really unhealthy for you as a person and for humans in general to be that way. It's very problematic because it stagnates progress within our society, and you want to make sure that you're safe and comfortable exploring who you are, not just about sexuality, just everything. You should always be questioning, you know, don't just take everything at face value because who knows who's trying to fuck you over. And you want to make sure that you are constantly updating yourself and educating yourself. And for some people, that's not their vibe. They just want to be complacent and live their life. They don't give a shit. And that's totally fine. That's your prerogative. That's who you want to be. But exploring yourself is so healthy and so good. And I think it's important.
Yeah.
I'm again, like I said, I am such a different person. I've changed so many times. Even if I swear to God, it's every 5 years on the dot, something happens and I'm a different person, you know?
Yeah.
But, I try to reevaluate my core everything every couple of years to make sure, am I thinking the right things? Is there new research? Is there new ideas out there that are going to help me more understand the world around me? And, exploring your sexuality is, again, it's a healthy thing to do.
Yeah. And I think we've even had some moments on the show where I said something that you were like, oh shit. I think it was in our episode where we discussed if cis actors can play trans people, where I said something and you were like, I hadn't considered that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah.
So, I mean, it just goes to show that if you keep an open mind and you allow yourself to explore new ideas and new experiences, you may find
something about yourself you didn't
know, and you don't need to be afraid of it.
Perfect.
Also, I feel like we haven't seen Ted in a while.
Yeah, what's Ted doing right now? Ted, are you sleeping over there?
Are you
napping? Ted, you gotta watch the camera.
Are you did you even drink any of your drink yet?
Yeah, Ted, has your drink been drank?
How's your drink?
Was it good? How much is left?
I drank it. All of it.
That's a good boy, Ted. Ted, you're a good boy.
Is that why you fell asleep?
Is that why you fell asleep? All right, guys. All right, Ted, go sit back down. Go watch the camera.
No, behind the camera.
Go, up front of the camera. Yeah, there you go. So I think the last... I love Ted.
Ted's great.
Ted's the best. I think what we should hit on for the last thing is, for the last couple minutes before we wrap up today, is we should maybe talk about why would you want to come out or maybe why not? What are some... it's
I mean, I feel like for the most part we've
kind of hitting some of that. Yeah, I think so too. I think there's, I do want to say that there is validity in if you're out there and you're in the closet, and that's totally fine. It's your journey. I want you to be safe and be who you are, and if you stay in the closet for whatever XYZ reasons, that's something that is okay.
It's your own personal decision.
It's absolutely your own personal decision.
Whether it's for safety reasons or whatever reasons, you don't need to feel like
don't feel pressured to live your life in a way that you're not ready for or you're not comfortable with. Being who you are and understanding who you are, whether you're heterosexual or you're queer or you're anything, it can seem like a daunting task to be yourself, and it is, and it can be hard.
Yeah.
But find it in yourself to be safe, and don't be afraid to reach out to somebody who can help you or seek any kind of, be safe, be you.
Yeah.
Love who you are.
We're going to put some links to some resources.
Yeah, absolutely. Down in the below.
Yeah, if you're feeling like you want to talk to someone or you need some help, you're ready to come out, or you're out and things are a little bit rough, we'll have links for
I'll have some resources for you.
Some resources, and yeah. I think this has been a
really healthy. I really would love to hear. Again, I know we talked about this before. I'd love to hear your thoughts on coming out and who you are, maybe your journey. If you're willing to share, of course you don't have to. There's never any pressure. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate how our community started to grow, and really like that you guys are all keep showing up and hanging out with us. Thank you so much. I'd love to know what you think. Cheers to you, my friends. My drink is empty, but that's okay.
Welcome to the conversation. We're going to edit that in.
I don't know how our music goes.
Yeah, that was not quite it.
It was close. I almost had the music there. We're not going to do any music but me.
Oh, God. Please. We're going to edit music in.
Piano music.
You got to stop.
No, it starts like this.
No. Oh, my God. Are you drunk, Christopher?